Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Mindset Monday. Happy Monday and happy February. I'm happy to be here, and I hope you're happy to be here too. So, if you are just logging in, I want to welcome you to February of 2024. I'm happy to be here. Good to see you guys filing in this morning. Um, we are going to be talking about a topic that is just always dear to my heart, which is leadership. So February kicks off our leadership month, and I'm here for it. I'm here for all of the conversations about leadership, and it's something that has been a passion of mine for a really long time, and it's been a journey. Leadership is a journey of self-discovery, I will say that. And I started my leadership journey over 30 years ago. And it has been, I'm going to say, the school of hard knocks. I don't think that people just wake up and become a great leader. I think that it is a commitment to self and self-discovery to become a good leader because, like anything, when we want to become good at something, we have to put our best effort forward. And when things go south, we have to look in the mirror and say, what was my piece in it? How could I be better? How could I have done better? And how could I keep working that muscle called leadership, called communication? So I love seeing everybody join in today. Good morning. I see Sam coming in. Benny, good morning. Good to see you. Andre, Gio, Morgan from Morgan Taylor Salon. Good to see you. I saw my baby Ginger coming in. Dina, good to see you. Holly, it's great to see you. Hi, Jennifer. Wow. Um, I'm heartened to see you guys this morning, and I'm happy to be here. I had a whirlwind of a weekend this weekend. I feel so honored. I was in a 24-hour period to Denver and back, and got to work with an amazing salon group on with their leadership team. So I'm like, it's like hot off the press in my mind. Leadership, leadership, leadership. And so it was so great working with their whole team. They had multiple location uh, salon group, and they brought all their leaders in, and it was just really cool to be able to work with them. And I got to travel with my manager from my location here in San Diego, Michael, and he was a part of the program also. We spent a full day with them in the beautiful Rockies. And my friend Con came along, and she came along for the ride, and it was super cool. So we had a great day. And when we were at the airport last night, uh, and let me just tell you, traveling in the winter to anywhere where there's weather, which it seems that there's weather everywhere right now. Oh, just the delay, the delay, the delay. So airport drama. But I'm not going to bore you with that today. But we were having some crappy food at the airport, and so Michael said to me, "I think you should talk about reflections tomorrow morning at your Mindset Monday." And I said, "Well, what do you mean reflections?" Good morning, Con. And Con's here for more of it. She was here for it all weekend. And I said, "What do you mean reflections?" And Michael said, "Well, what was your biggest reflection over the weekend?" And it took me a minute to think about my reflections because it had been such a busy 24-hour period. And I said, because we were working with leaders that had been leaders for a while, and we were working with some new leaders. And I said, I think as I reflect on, the day, it's always an aha moment for me that leadership always boils down to the muscle and the skill set called communication. And really, when you boil it down, right, because it takes a great communicator to be able to do so many things, to be able to communicate the vision, communicate the message. If there's things that are going wrong, we have to be able to communicate it. If things are going right, we have to be able to fill up the cup, right? So doesn't it all really kind of boil down to communication? If we want to launch something new, we have to be able to communicate how to launch it, to get people engaged, to get people motivated. That all boils down to the skill set called what? Yes, if you're thinking in your mind what I think I'm hearing you thinking, you're saying communication. And so as I was thinking and reflecting with so much gratitude, thank you to my friends for my lovely mug. Um, I was thinking it always isn't is an aha moment for me over and over again how difficult it is to build that muscle called being a great communicator. And I was not always a great communicator. I think I have evolved into a great communicator because I made it my mission to work on it, not because I woke up someday and I was like, "Wow, you have been blessed with this gift of a great communicator." No, I made it a conscious mission to become a good communicator because I realized that that is what it was going to take in order to build great relationships. And then I realized that great relationships were a function of great retention, and great retention was a function of growth in my company and sustainability, right? If we think about that. So, my aha moment and my reflection over the weekend is how challenging it is for people, for sure, new managers, young managers, to lean into difficult conversations. And a lot of times, even even seasoned managers and leaders have a difficult time leaning into conversations because they dub that in their mind, or they interpret a tough conversation as a confrontation, and they make it mean that it's a confrontation as opposed to just another conversation. So when you say in your mind, well, this is going to be a confrontation, nobody wants to lean into that. Nobody is like, wow, let me at it. That's something I want to be a part of. No, you're just like, oh hell no, I'm going to run in the other direction. But a- as a part of our job that we signed up for and we worked really hard to get, whether you're a leader as an educator, whether you're a leader in your company and you don't have a title as a manager, but you want to be a leader, you want to be an example setter, you have to work on that muscle called communication and be committed to keep trying it and trying different things until you find your way with it. And when we got to the section yesterday, because I taught yesterday, when we got to the section called coaching with confidence, because this is we spend a lot of time in this section called coaching with confidence, because a lot of the breakdown in cultures is lack of communication, lack of feedback, lack of hurting cats, because leaders or managers don't want to say anything. And so yesterday I posed the question to the group, why is it, if you choose to not have a conversation with somebody, why would you choose to not have the conversation? So there's conversations we do have, like easy ones, like when we want to prop somebody out, congratulate somebody on a job well done. We're happy to have those conversations. It's like, hey, I want to talk to you. What a job well done. Did you see how great you did yesterday? Or that client's hair was amazing. Or the client called and said they loved what you did. Those conversations we're happy to have those. But when we need to talk to somebody about dress code, coming in late, how they're talking to a coworker, um, their attitude, coaching them on performance, on whatever it is that maybe doesn't feel great, there tends to be a stopping point. And so yesterday I posed this question to the team, and I said, why is it, what are the things that stop you from having these tough conversations? So some of the answers were fear of confrontation, right? Fear of conflict. That was one of them. One of them was fear of not being liked. So So fear of confrontation is the managers like don't want to have a difficult conversation because it might lead to conflict or strained relationships in the workplace, right? And they may worry about damaging rapport or creating a negative work environment. Um, and Teresa says, I think we're afraid of confrontation, and technologies these days is totally messing old school guidelines of communication. Hi, Teresa. Good to see you. It's been a while. Uh, yeah, I mean, Teresa, I think you make such a good point about technology. Um, Thank you, Teresa. I think you make such a good point about technology that our communication, the new way of communicating is social on social platforms. And we have lost the skill set, anyways, of face to face, peer to peer communication. That skill set is completely changed. And we have to work harder and different now on how to socialize face to face. We're so used to texting, emailing, DMing in a totally different way. So old school communication is definitely lacking, and I 100% agree with that. So thank you for bringing that up. So we have to work harder on building that muscle. Like when we go to the gym and we're used to working on our shoulders, but we never work on our biceps, and we go to work on our biceps and we're like, ouch, I feel so weak on my biceps but so strong on my shoulders. Well, yeah, you haven't been working that muscle out, so we have to start working that muscle, right? So the muscle called communication is the same thing. We have to start working on that. Good morning, Audrey. It's good to see you. Thanks for coming by this morning. All right, so fear of confrontation. The second one, super interesting too, fear of not being liked was another thing that came up. So I want to just chuckle a little bit on this one, and because I never even thought about that. I know that's just probably me, and maybe I'm old, but it doesn't cross my mind that if I talk to somebody about something that I'm not going to be liked, because am I too old to not have that fear anymore that people aren't going to like me if I talk to them about it? So, but I have to tell you, it's real, because I Googled last night when I was preparing for this morning. I started looking up why people don't want to have tough conversations, and this was like in the top 5. And not only was it in the top 5, but it was something that people talked about yesterday in the group. So it was like confirmed even when I Googled it. And I'm just like, this didn't even cross my mind. Like the other ones crossed my mind, but I just had to laugh at myself a little bit. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Um, so, but fear of not being liked is real for a lot of people, meaning, and I can see it now, like when I think about it, I just didn't really think about it. So here I am. Um, a, I'm a manager. I might be a newer manager or even somebody that's been managing a while. If I talk to somebody about something that might hurt their feelings, this came up yesterday, maybe it's going to hurt their feelings. It might not set right with them. And then they're going to have feelings about it. Then they're going to go in the back room and start talking to the other staff about it. And then they're all going to be talking about me as the manager. And then so the manager now is like spinning in their mind around like, well, you know what? Fuck that. I'm just not going to say anything. I'm just not going to talk to anybody about it. I'm just going to let it go because I'm going to just pray that it resolves itself. Now, can you guys, any of you guys relate to that? Throw me some comments, throw me some love. Let me know if you're relating to this. And I am here to tell you this shit doesn't resolve itself. All right. I've been doing this for too long and it does not resolve itself. All right. So, fear of not being liked. So, throw me some love in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. The third one is, this is a really big one too. The leaders are wanting to have these conversations, right? So there's things they want to talk about, there's coaching that needs to happen. Are you with me? But they don't know how to start the conversation. They don't have like conversation starters. So they're like, I don't even know how to approach it. I don't know how to approach the issue. And so I'm not even going to say it because I don't even know how to like get the conversation started. Totally valid. I get that. They don't even know how to start it, and sometimes, you guys, if you start the conversation wrong, it totally goes south from there. And then people have a fear that they're not going to know how to get the conversation back on track again. So they feel awkward even starting the conversation. Totally valid. That also was in like the top 5. Another one that we hear super common, we hear a lot, I don't want to rock the boat. How many of you guys heard, well, I don't, or even are feeling this? I don't want to have this conversation because I just don't want to rock the boat. Okay. So these are some of the reasons, and I'm not even going to call them excuses because your feelings are valid if this is you. Like, these are valid feelings that you're having, and I'm not even going to say that they're excuses because they're your feelings. But let's get into it, because you can have these feels and these fears because these are all pretty much fears. And look, I I would say that um I'm willing to have a conversation with anybody about pretty much anything. And I talked about this yesterday to the group that we were teaching. I will have a conversation no matter how hard it is with anybody about just about anything. But it doesn't mean that I'm not nervous about it. It doesn't mean that I don't have feelings about it. It doesn't mean that I don't have anxiety right before the conversation starts about how it's going to go. I have feelings about it. I have nerves about it. I might be freaked out about it and like have my heart might be just racing. But it doesn't mean that it's going to stop me from having these conversations, because the other thing that I want you guys to hear is that every conversation you choose to not have is creating the very culture that you're living in today. So every conversation that has to be had that you're not having is telling people that what I'm doing right now is okay. And if you have to have conversations that correct the culture, you know what I mean by correct? Like they adjust the culture back to the way you need it to be because that's who you are as a company. It's a correction. And there's a lot of corrective measures on our journey as leaders all the time. If people are coming in late, we have to we have to correct it. If people are out of whatever said dress code it is, we have to correct it. If people are, let's say you guarantee a certain service when a client comes in and that's not being offered, that needs to be corrected. So there's certain little like corrections along the way in order to uphold the culture that you promise, that you guarantee, the service that you guarantee. And every conversation you choose to not have to uphold that service or that guarantee, that means that you're saying to the team and the clients, I'm not guaranteeing that. I'm not willing to have my heart race a little bit. I'm not willing to step through the fire. I'm not willing to have a little bit of fear. I'm not willing to get to the other side in the conversation to uphold the promise, because you're nervous. I get that you're nervous, but you also took on this job called I'm a leader. So what's it going to be? It's scary sometimes. I'm not sitting here saying that it's like some easy thing. It's hard. Being a leader is hard, you guys. It's not for the faint at heart. It is freaking hard. There are sleepless nights. There are anxiety producing days. Nobody said wake up and be a leader and have an effortless, uh, you know, easy, rich, money filled life. That is not the promise. That is not the promise. I'm here to tell you, I'm going on my 32nd year, multiple businesses, coaching businesses, salon businesses. It's hard. There's hard conversations. There's hiring, there's firing, there's quitting, there's walkouts. There's figuring out strategies to keep people motivated. There's training problems. There's also great joys. But if you want to uphold this thing, this vision that you have of your culture, and you want to have a happy environment, you have to have the tough conversations too. And so um If you have a tough conversation, is there a possibility you might do it wrong? Yes, you might do it wrong. Have I done it wrong? Hell yeah, I've done it wrong. Have I had to look in the mirror and say, well, that just that was wrong. That was horrible. I did not do a good job at all. Yes. Yeah, that has happened before. That has happened multiple times. But those are the ones that I learned the most from. It felt horrible. I was spitting over it for probably a week after, maybe. But I learned the most because I learned what not to do the next time. So we have to do it anyways. We have to have those conversations anyways, guys. Right? So fear of confrontation. So many managers fear that the conversations might lead to conflict or strained relationships. Maybe it will. And maybe I've had a conversation before or coaching before that ended up worse after I had the conversation, which led to me having to have a secondary conversation. So I had to then have a follow up conversation and say, we need to have a follow up because that did not go the way I intended it to go. Can we revisit that? It's just honest. I'm just human. Let me apologize for these pieces that didn't go the way I wanted it to go. And can we do a do over? Okay. I'm human. They're human. Can we do a do over? No, we can't do a do over. Okay. Well, where do you want to go from here? Because we're going to either work together or we're not going to work together. I mean, isn't that just what it boils down to? Why are we're making things a really big deal. Fear of not being liked. You might not be liked. I don't have a goal to walk around and be liked, guys. I have a goal that people think my decision making is fair and that people might people would look at how I make decisions and say, you know what, she's fair and I respect the decision that she makes. I mean, if I'm liked, it's a bonus. My goal isn't to be liked. If the goal is to be liked, I can understand the fear of not being liked. But I wouldn't set out as a leader and have the goal to be liked. That is not a primary goal. My primary goal is to support people in their growth, to uphold the standards, and to create an amazing environment for my team with certain systems and structures and the scaffolding to make sure that they have this environment that they can thrive. Now, inside that, if I'm liked, that's just great. That's icing on the cake. But I'd rather be a respected leader that I'm creating this thriving environment for my team than for people to walk around. I really like her. That is not one of my goals. It might be a great like result of the things that I'm doing. That's great. But fear of not being liked shouldn't would only be a result of having a goal of wanting to be liked, right? Have a goal of wanting to be known as being a fair leader, someone that's fair. Um, Not knowing how to start a conversation. I want to talk about this for a minute. You know how in our business, we I've talked about a lot, and I'm sure that you guys have. I know a lot of you on here, and I know how you guys run your business. You have a lot of systems for things. You have a system for how you answer the phone. Excuse me. So when you answer the phone, you answer it the same way every time so that your customers can count on the customer service. Like, thank you for choosing Gila Root. This is Carrie. How may I help you? Right? There's a system for it. You probably have a system for how you remove color at the shampoo bowl. You probably have a system for how you greet a client when they walk in. You probably have a system for how you do your consultations. Probably have a system for how you close out when a client is getting ready to leave. You walk them up to the front, you get their appointment pre-booked, right? So there's systems in the business so that you can move effortlessly through the business. Can you tell I've been talking too much? What I'm advocating around this thing called communication is that you have a system for coaching and you have a system for tough conversations. Because if you have a system for it, it takes some of the anxiety away from having these conversations, and I've talked to you guys about this before in the past. So I work with a lot of owners and their leadership teams in my coaching business, and we go through a a worksheet, and the worksheet is on coaching conversations, and it's a 5-step system to have a coaching conversation. And we start off with teaching our clients how to open the conversation, because how we even start a conversation sets the tone for how the conversation is going to go. So let's say somebody is late all the time and you need to have a conversation with them about it, right? And so when they come in the office, first of all, where are you having the conversation? You don't want to have it in the back room with other people. That's not where you're going to have a coaching conversation. You're going to have the coaching conversation one-on-one in an office without anybody else around. So it's setting the tone. So there's so many layers to how am I going to set this conversation up to be a win-win, where somebody, my intention is always, when I'm going to be meeting with somebody, that when the conversation is over, that they feel good about the conversation, even if it's a tough conversation, that they feel they can do it. They feel good about the interaction. That's my intention. And so, how can I work backwards so that the beginning of the conversation sets that up and supports that goal? So, when they first come in, I'm not going to say to them, well, you're always late. Well, how are they going to take that? Right. So, I have to make sure that how I open the conversation is going to set them up to be relaxed and to be open to have a conversation, because I have to show the person that's sitting across from me that I care about them, and I'm very interested in what this problem is and how we're going to come up with a solution, because they have an issue. I don't have the issue. They have the issue, and they're going to have to come up with some level of resolve for this issue called they're late all the time, right? So there's a system to go through how we navigate the conversation. And what I like to do when I'm training our leaders, or when I'm training our our clients, which is our coaching clients, is they have to fill out the worksheet before they have a coaching conversation, so that they can get their mind right. They're not going to use this in the actual coaching, but they're going to fill the whole thing out prior to the conversation, so that they can be prepared of how they're going to navigate the conversation, so that um, they can get their mindset right, and they could be at a higher state of ease during the conversation, as opposed to going in and winging it and having this high anxiety and praying that it turns out okay. And inside this worksheet, they already have what the takeaway is going to be, and what their intended end result. Now, could it go south? It could, but the probability of it going south is low, because you already kind of have your set path. So coaching is an art form, just like consultation is an art form. There's a system to it, right? So as a leader, I want you to set yourself up to win, lower the level of anxiety around it, and think of it as another muscle in your leadership bag of tricks that you are going to start working on. You have to be committed to working on it. If it doesn't go great, it's okay. It's okay. We're not perfect. We're going to try it again. And even if you have to have, like I said earlier, another conversation with the same person, it's okay. You'll just call them back in and say, I don't feel like that went well. Can we try again? I'm sorry. You know, you got this. So I hope today was helpful in talking about leadership and communication. Next week, we'll be at it again. If you guys have leadership topics or challenges, throw them in the comments, DM me. You know how to get in touch with me. If you're here, you know how to get in touch with me. What kind of problems are you having with leadership? I want to know, and I want to be able to speak to it at our live. I love being here with you guys. Let me see if I'm forgetting anything. No, I think I covered it for today. And if you guys like what you hear, as you know, my Carrie Davis consulting business is a new business for me. I know I'm here doing the same thing, but I love it if you could hit follow me, like what you hear, comment on my stuff, hit share, share it, tag a friend, bring some friends along. I would love the referrals. And I'm always just super, super grateful that you show up every Monday. So I hope today was any little bit of help for you guys. I love seeing you. I'm grateful for you. Have an amazing week, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.